Welcome to the So I Heard podcast brought to you by Tiff and Dan, where we bring you the conversations overheard from the streets of Toronto. We're unscripted, unhinged, and unsure where this will go. So if you want to stay tuned and find out with us what's going to happen, stay tuned.
All right. So the first prompt of the day, Martin from the Martin Goodman Trail. Trying? Trying? How are you trying? Man bikes away from woman.
See ya.
Now, what are we thinking here? I imagine that, maybe he didn't really set up the date properly, so he's just like running away from the situation.
Oh, a first date, are we thinking? I love pulling that move from the back pocket, biking away from a situation. That's why you always have to have a bike at the back of your pocket so you can bike away when things get a little awkward, right, Dan?
Totally. I don't know where you would place your bike. You have to strategically place it at a place where you can easily access it. Like, I'm trying to think, if you're going to a restaurant, like, where are you parking that bike?
This is why I have a distinct category in my budget just for bikes. I have bikes stashed all over the city, Dan. All right, that restaurant back alley behind the dumpster, there's a bike. Does it get stolen? Boom, spare bike behind the other dumpster. Bikes everywhere, ready for me to go to get away from that awkward situation because you know what? I was trying. Just like that man, I am sure he was trying in that situation.
But now I'm thinking, as the woman, I'm very emphatic. I'm like, what are you doing here? This is such a minimal effort. I actually saw something on Twitter recently where this 27-year-old woman was saying, an ice cream date isn't good enough. Like, is that trying?
You know what tomorrow is actually National Ice Cream Day, and I'm quite offended. I think, you know what? I actually saw on threads that an ice cream date is the top tier kind of date. It really tells you a lot about a person, what kind of flavor they're going for. Are they going for a waffle cone, cup, or a sugar cone? Or, maybe they're going for two scoops, kid scoop. We don't know. There's just so much you can learn from someone's ice cream order.
Oh man, I think as this woman, I'm really embodying this woman at the Martin Goodman Trail. I'm thinking this was not good enough. This was, I'm gonna assume a weekend daytime date, a matinee, as you would some people would say. And I'm thinking, I want to be wowed. I want to be wooed. And what this man is giving is a, a hungry man dinner for breakfast.
What I would have loved to have done is really, really follow that conversation. So the man bikes away. Does the woman bike up faster to catch up to finish what she was trying to say?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess she is chugging some kind of protein or creatine or pre-workout drink, and she's like, "I'm gonna catch this man and finish this freaking conversation." That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know how familiar you are with the Martin Goodman Trail, Dan, but the best part about this is that that is a long trail that can go all the way to Mississauga. So, do we think that the man biked all the way to Mississauga and I don't know,
You know, with
hopped on his other stash bike behind the other dumpster, just like me?
with the rising costs of Toronto housing, I would not be surprised if this man biked all the way to Mississauga. I'm assuming if they're choosing the Martin Goodman Trail that I've actually never heard of, these guys have giant calves and cardio for days, so I would not be surprised.
Aren't you from Toronto, Dan? Have you never heard of the Martin Goodman Trail?
I'm a East Ender always and forever until next year.
All right, all right. Um, so yeah, for all the people out there, the Toronto dating scene not great. Always have a spare bike ready to go. If you need an exit strategy, have those bikes ready.
Yeah, I guess it's one thing that we've learned as people in primary schools. If you're in the public school system, you always need to have a fire plan. And I guess what we've learned from this conversation is you always need to have a bike escape plan.
Now you bring up a good point. What if the man instead did a classic, good old stop, drop, and roll to trying? How are you trying?
Right, right. Because in this situation, the woman is trying to pat the man out of his fire. She is concerned of his health.
I'm always for the element of surprise. Maybe this woman just wanted, a little bit of spice. She's tired of doing the same old thing, so they went for a bike ride. Maybe this wasn't a first date, and that stop, drop, and roll. I think that adds a little bit of a je ne sais quoi.
I feel like if I was this woman and I witnessed a man that I've just started dating in the early months and he stopped, dropped, and rolled out of the blue, I'd be fairly concerned. Like this is not even a beige flag. It's not a red flag. It's like a dark maroon flag, like Maroon 5, me out of here.
Yeah, but how cool would be if you did that with the bike? Like, I'd be pretty damn impressed.
Yeah, I feel like that's like maybe we've uncovered a new genre of breakdancing. You're rolling with your bike.
Single ladies, single men out there, give this move a try. The good old stop, drop, and roll, and let us know how it goes.
Bingo.
All right, let's get it going with our next overheard conversation. I was worried about the Church of Satan.
You know what? Who isn't worried about the Church of Satan? I'm imagining that. Actually, I saw these two young gentlemen, and we were in a Shoppers Drug Mart, the obvious retail store of Satan. And these days there's a lot to be worried about.
Especially the Church of Satan. There's a lot of churches out there, and I think the Satan, the satanical, does rank highly up there. That's why I avoid Shopper Drugs Mart, and I go to Rexall myself, Dan.
Yeah, yeah. I think Rexall, with the colors it has as well, it's like a teal. Teal seems warm to me.
I just realized that Shoppers Drug Mart red Satan, it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time, and we haven't realized it.
Yeah, it took these two brave young men to figure out that they were in the Church of Satan, the retail of red. I guess it's like, do all red things mean Satan to us?
I don't know, but every time you're swiping that Optimum card, an angel dies.
Whoa! And there's not enough points. There's never nearly enough points for the amount of money that you're spending. So that's truly the work of Satan right there.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Satan's caught her tongue. That's what's happening right now. It's Satan has heard about this terrible things we're saying about the House of Satan, aka Shoppers, and they're like, Tiff, we're snatching you out of here.
Yeah, but going back to your other point about those red brands and Satan, I think all of these churches have just been hiding in plain sight. You know,
There's like I think Benjamin Moore's, the paint store, has a red sign.
and I think they actually use satanical red number 1.
Oh, you heard it here, folks. That's satanic red is a not a good choice for baby's room. Speaking of red, you know what else I've heard? He does not need to be near the bed.
No, you know what? Where men don't need to be near the bed, but they can be near other places that you could sleep, like the couch.
Or the trunk near the bed that everyone has in their homes these days.
Or like you mean like a chaise in front of the bed if they're a little stylish, just the man just curled up on the chaise there.
I guess it depends. A chaise is nice. A chaise is nice if you have storage. I feel like people will have a trunk near their bed just to keep your extra linens and all the throw pillows, and maybe you stuff your man in that chest.
Oh, we're really going with the man not needing anything to breathe or comfort. I was being a little bit nicer to the man, Dan. I'm picturing this scene here of where this conversation started. There's a king size bed in this room. Just a really nice lounge chair, no storage. because they can afford that king size bed,
Yeah.
in Toronto in this economy.
Oh man,
Um,
inflation did not affect their bed choice.
yeah, the layout of their home is actually all 500 square feet is the bedroom,
Mm.
aka they live in a studio, and they chose to take up 200 of it with this king size bed and chaise. But you know, the woman sleeping there, or maybe the man. I'm sorry, that was very heteronormative of me, but
Sheesh.
I know. Talk. Sorry, it was just I swiped too many optimum points the other day. And yeah, he doesn't need to be near the bed. He's just on the chaise.
Yeah, or maybe he's got you know what a lot of people say these days, sitting is the new smoking. So maybe he just doesn't need the bed. He's standing up the entire time. He's sleeping like Dracula.
You're right. That was very sitting normative of me as well. I can't believe assumed that he needed to be in a, you know, horizontal position. He could have totally been vertical.
Yeah, vertical, or maybe they say aliens are among us. Maybe he's just floating. He is a true extraterrestrial life form, and he doesn't. This alien need no bed.
You bring up a really good point. We're in 2023 now, and why don't we have anti gravity beds? I mean, the 80s brought the water bed, the 90s brought, you know, the bed. bed. And you know what? The 2020s, the 2000s cannot. Why can't they bring us the anti gravity bed?
You bring up a good point. I feel like they've done so much for shoes. You've got the rollies, you've got, shoes that tie up for themselves, but beds are still this untapped market of new technology. Like I would want a bed that almost speaks to me like a bidet.
And we spend like, I don't know, 10%, 15%. I'm not great at math, but a large chunk of our life sleeping, using these things called beds, or if you're like this man, standing. But a place where you are designated to sleep. So I'm just saying, anti gravity beds, you heard it here first, folks. Patent pending.
Yeah, at this podcast, we stand the standing bed, not near the bed.
We're voting for you, man. Please call in if you need help. Speaking of needing help, another thing that was overheard the other day at the gym. Who says that, bro? Can't believe she said that to you, too. Yeah, man. It hurts, bro. Yeah. Hurt people, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's the life for the bro is a tough one, and apparently she said something pretty gnarly to this bro.
Yeah, I mean, good thing they're at the gym. You know what's the most important muscle that you got to make sure is swollen? The heart.
Oh man, we're bringing it back today on this podcast. Every man is being hurt hard in the heart, bro.
Yeah, I feel for them. I'm glad. It's nice to see that two bros, we're having some deep conversations at the gym. You don't see that very often. We're gonna take a moment to this podcast. Sometimes we go a little unhinged, a little funny, but sometimes we get deep too.
Yeah, we get like extremely deep. We get like if this is a 7 layer dip, we're going to that first layer. We're getting that extremely marinated bean dip.
Oh wow, all the way to the last layer of the dip, just like as deep as those squats. I'm sure that these bros were hitting up.
Like a lot of people who squat say that you should be going ass to grass. Do we think when these bros were going heart to heart that they were going heart to ground?
Oh, because they went deep. I see what you did there. Um, and just in between sets, it's like hurt, people hurt, people, bro.
You really have to lay it out all on the line. You see these TikTok these days of like these men with broken hearts, and they're just setting it out at the gym. Like, do we think that this bro who got extremely hurt hit his PR this day?
I don't know, man. It's hard because when you're hurt, you're not performing at 100, but that phrase, hurt people, really applies in so many situations. If you're injured, you're probably dropping a weight on someone's foot. Don't go to the gym when you're injured.
Don't go to the gym if you're hurt. Physically, mentally, or emotionally, you should be maybe seeking help or seeking a new spark.
A new spark, just like this other overheard conversation.
So he told her to take it down because it was too sexy.
What are we thinking here, Dan? Like, what do you think that picture was?
I'm gonna guess potentially a very lewd painting, or potentially maybe this was, in a Christmas Story. There's that lamp of that woman's leg. That always seemed like a sexy artifact to me.
They always say beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Maybe it was just a really fucking sexy taco.
Oh wow, like that someone could have said like I could fuck with that taco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. I feel like food can be extremely sexy. Like there's a sex appeal to preparing food. And then if you're really good with eye contact and mouth movements, potentially eating the food too.
I mean, have you seen The Bear?
Oh yeah.
Uh, Yes Chef is definitely the new daddy. All right.
Carmine can mess me up. Lip from what was Shameless, very good. The show is fantastic. Every time they prepare food, I feel like I've somehow been transported to a very sexy kitchen.
Yeah, my love for Jeremy Allen White is, I have no shame about that indeed. You know?
You know, I'm very comfortable with my own sexuality, and I can say that Jeremy Allen White, aesthetically, a very handsome man, and I probably take it for Maddie Madison as well as
Because you know what? One way to that swole muscle, the heart, through food, through your stomach.
boom biology.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. In all seriousness, folks, you shouldn't be telling whoever to take down any photo that they wanted to put up because you know what? They were feeling themselves. Let them put up that photo.
Yeah, let people have a safe space. And when we're talking about space, the first thing that comes to my mind was that was my first wizard man. Lizard man? No, I meant wizard man.
Damn, I haven't had a wizard man. What was that like?
It was my first wizard. It probably was when I was in my I was just before as a teenager. Lord of the Rings. My first wizard was Gandalf the Grey. He was a true wizard. My first wizard, man.
Damn, just thinking about that long, sexy beard. Now that is something that's someone should never post because that is too sexy to be out there on the interwebs. Got to think about that digital footprint.
Now, do we think that if you, let's say you bumped into your first wizard in the streets of Toronto, are you thinking that that beard should be tied up like in a man bun, or let it just sprawl like the beauty that it is?
Oh, definitely let the flow flow.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta keep that flow going because if you're growing it out that long, why wouldn't you show it to the world? Like this is I am a true wizard. Watch out, I will stupefy your ass.
Stupefy and slither in. What I'd love to know about this conversation actually is clearly the other person was quite familiar with lizard men as well.
Now, I feel like are we thinking a lizard man is like a kink? Like this person likes to dress up and put scales on themselves. No shame, but I'm very curious as to what this person thought of their first lizard man.
I'm actually quite intrigued by that and maybe a little attracted because to put scales on yourself, that's commitment. And that's commitment. That's attractive.
Now, on this lizard man's dating profile, do we think that he or she or they are putting that they're good with scales as like a pun towards their unique appearance?
They're just really good at balancing things in their life. You know, they're good at weighing things. That's a handy skill. You just never know when you might need to know the exact weight of something.
Are lizards known for knowing how to balance on things? I thought they were just little reptiles that had the ability to stick on you, but that's a fun, fascinating fact.
That's the funny thing about the English language, Dan. One word can mean multiple different things. And scales could be skin. Scales can also be a scale. Scale could also be justice. But did you know something about lizards and their mating strategy? They like to do push ups.
Hurt lizards, man. That's what it comes down to.
Maybe those bros were actually lizard men.
I find it fascinating that we don't have mole people living under the ground, but maybe lizard people are living on the surface. They've blended in with the human race.
Oh my god, did you hear that? I think we're being kidnapped by the Scientology people. We should not be talking about lizard people. Dan, move on, move on.
On that note, it was bigger than I thought.
How big though?
We're thinking like if this was a Subway sub, you'd be impressed that you ate the whole thing.
Oh, I was more going the direction of a blue whale kind of scale, but Subway sub is also that is quite the spectrum.
The Subway sub looks huge in my hand, so that's really what it is. But blue whales can look huge in a tank.
But what about the ocean? It is now all about the scale.
Whoa. Yeah, that's she got me. That is truly bigger than I think. And honestly, how much do we think whales weigh?
I don't know, but you know who might know? A lizard man.
Because they're related. But yeah, I think in this context is bigger than I thought. I'm gonna guess that maybe this was after a date that maybe she was surprised by the size of their condo.
Yeah, that condo. Not another word that I thought you were going to say there. Because again, in this economy, Toronto,
Yeah, that condo, just like the double meaning, that condo, if you know what I mean.
oh that condo. Or maybe the portion sizes at a restaurant, because again, in this economy, how much food costs these days.
Food is extremely expensive. That's why a nice little tip here: just go to a buffet. That's all you can eat, baby.
And that's why it was bigger than I thought.
So yeah, you know what isn't so big? Um, Wonton soups. Wonton is my favorite soup, but is it the sexiest?
I think this I just gotta pause here because I think you're right. I think if I had to rank all the soups that would turn me on, it'd be a nice little wonton.
Wonton to me is telling me that this person knows flavor, that they know how to potentially bake things for a non wonton experienced person, and that they know how to layer flavor.
All that steam just making you sweat in, in multiple ways, just a little foreshadowing for later.
Yeah, it's a if we had to uh, capture the night in an emoji for a wonton soup night, it'd be that sweat emoji.
Oh yeah, but what's the least sexiest soup? These people they bring up a good point. I People really are thinking way beyond the box here. Like, why do we need to just stop at describing or thinking and ranking soups in like terms of boring categories like flavor, nutrition? Why not sex appeal?
Yeah, these days it's so hard to connect with people. So it's the soup question is truly a way to get into the soul of the person. This is, I want to know if this person thinks that clam chowder is an appropriate soup in the summer.
Oh, interesting, interesting. But this is definitely like more of a third date question. If you really, it's a good little foreplay. You want to talk about sexy soup, um, clam chowder. Clams a close relation to the oyster, which is what they say is an aphrodisiac.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So, but I don't know if clam chowder is sexy soup. I'd actually rank it pretty low on the sexiness scale there.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think like wonton, another word for dumpling. Maybe with the wrong answer, I'm gonna dump him.
Oh, we went the other way. I thought we're going with a cute little nickname like, oh, my little dumpling, because people love to hear that in the bedroom. That's why it's sexy soup.
Now, do we think that couples or people who are hooking up with each other, like, is it weird to call someone of Asian descent dumpling if you are not Asian, like a Caucasian to a Asian?
Oh wow, we're going deep again here. That's an interesting question. I think like with all of these things that involve culture, a lot of context is very important. Um, but I think that's why you just need to focus on whether or not the soup is sexy.
You got to bring it back to sexy soup. I personally think that wonton is sexy, but in terms of the sexiest, it's got to be chicken noodle.
Yeah, if you like vanilla sex, Dan.
See, that just tells me that you've had vanilla chicken noodle soup. Chicken noodle soup, it's great for when you have a cold. It's great if you need something hearty. You can swap out the noodles for potential rice. It's endless, the options.
Sounds like you're describing missionary. Just good old reliable there. Just always there when you need it. Chicken noodle, not very creative. Just everyone's got a can of Campbell's in the back of their cupboard, right?
Everyone does have a can of Campbell's. I probably do myself in this kitchen, but no one that I know of makes from scratch. And that's the true sexiness of the soup.
You got me there. Nothing like a sexy chef. Yes, chef. Am I right?
And yeah, I guess the last little thing we will say here is
I think I need to go and get myself some wonton soup.
wonton soup from the Lizard Man at Martin Goodman Trail.
Goodbye, folks. See you next week.